Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm pleased to present you on the workshop background under Agenda Item 2. At the opening, you have heard from the Secretary General that the protection of marine environment from harmful effects which may arise from activities in the area is at the core of ISA's mandate. Building on this mandate from Article 145 of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, ISA has been developing and adopting a policy and regulatory framework for environmental management, bearing in mind that they should be adaptive, practical, and technically feasible. As highlighted in the ISA strategic plan adopted in 2018, the development of regional environmental assessment and management plans is one of the important pillars for ISA efforts in building effective environmental management framework together with environmental impact assessment as well as environmental monitoring and management system to be undertaken by the contractors within their contract areas. ISA has developed environmental management plans at regional scale since 2012, where exploration activities under contracts are carried out. Regional Environmental Management Plans, or REMPs, provide a proactive framework for identifying environmental management measures and tools at regional scale, including area-based management tools and scientific approaches to address cumulative impacts and apply adaptive management. For example, the Environmental Management Plan of the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Eastern Pacific was approved in 2012, establishing a network of 9 areas of particular environmental interest, or APEIs, to represent the full range of biodiversity and habitats in the region. The APEIs in CCZ, collectively covering 1.4 million square kilometers, are entirely protected from any future exploitation of mineral resources. As highlighted in the opening statement of the Secretary General, the Council considered essential that the development of REMPs can be carried out under the auspices of the authority through a transparent and coordinated process. REMPs are established by a decision of the Council on recommendation of the Legal and Technical Commission, and each contractor is to comply with the decisions of the Council relating to REMPs. In its 25th session, the Council encouraged the Secretariat and the Commission to make progress on the development of regional environmental management plans, in particular where there are currently exploration contracts. In its 26th session, Council highlighted standardized approaches for the development, approval, and review of the REMP. And in response to this Council decision, LTC is currently working on further development of guidance to facilitate the development of regional environmental management plans. As explained in the previous slide, the development of REMP is taking place where there are currently exploration contracts. IS's work on environmental management is directly linked to very fundamental scientific activities in the deep ocean through contractors' exploration activities, such as research crews for exploration, sampling, lab analysis, and submission of annual reports and digital data to IS Secretariat. Almost 40 years of continuous scientific research undertaken by pioneer investors and contractors during exploration of deep-sea minerals, both before and after the entry into force of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, represent a major contribution to our collective knowledge of the deep-sea environment. Under the exploration contract, contractors are obliged to gather environmental baseline data. Contractors also establish a program to monitor and report the effects of its exploration activities, including any testing of equipment on the marine environment against such environmental baselines. This data will be the primary inputs into an environmental impact assessment process as part of the future application for an exploitation contract. The environmental data collected and submitted by contractors become the major source of information required for developing regional environmental assessment and REMP, together with other scientific data and information compiled at the regional scale. As you can see in the table, where there has been a delay due to global pandemic situation, ISC Secretariat continues to make progress in organizing REMP workshop in collaboration with the relevant members of the Legal and Technical Commission, including this workshop for Northern Mid-Atlantic Ridge, building on the workshop held in Évora, Portugal in November last year. The result of this workshop will be submitted together with the result from the Évora workshop to the Legal and Technical Commission for their consideration. As you may have seen in the background documents prepared for this workshop, such as Regional Environmental Assessment Report and Data Report, as well as the report on qualitative modeling of cumulative impact assessment, the development of an REMP requires highly consolidated process of compiling, analyzing, and synthesizing scientific data and information. This intensive expert process has started well before the Évora workshop last year and further refined after the Évora workshop through the excellent collaboration of numerous dedicated experts and in partnership with Atlantic REMP project sponsored by the EU, as well as CSIRO of Australia and Duke University. Taking this opportunity, I would like to convey deepest gratitude from the ISA Secretariat to those who have been contributing to this process of scientific preparation to support the workshop deliberation. With this background, I'm now happy to invite my colleague, Dr. Wanfei Chu, Program Manager for Marine Environment, to introduce you the workshop scope, objectives, and expected outputs. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jihyun. It's a pleasure to brief you on the scope, objectives, and expected outputs of this workshop. The workshop builds on the discussion from previous ISA workshops, including the workshop organized in Poland in 2018, which addressed development of a framework of IEMPs on mid-ocean ridges, and the more recent one held in Évora, Portugal in 2019, focusing on the scientific aspects in the development of the IEMP in the northern mid-Atlantic ridge. The workshop will focus on the management and implementation aspects of the draft IEMP, focusing on the scientific outcomes from the Évora workshop concerning the approaches for applying area-based management tools, the approaches for adaptive management and assessing cumulative impacts, and knowledge gaps. The objectives of the workshops are to describe the geographic scope and environmental goals and objectives for the draft IEMP, identify possible elements to be included in the draft IEMP, identify potential management approaches and measures with a focus on PMS deposits that can be considered in the development of REMP, including both spatial and non-spatial measures, and discuss the framework for implementation, including priority actions, monitoring and research, and collaboration. The expected outputs of the workshop are to formulate the key elements for the draft IEMP, including environmental goals and objectives, potential management measures and outcomes, both spatial and non-spatial, at both site and regional scales, priority actions for monitoring, research, and technological developments. And finally, potential mechanisms for collaboration and capacity building under the framework of the IMP. Workshop deliberations will take place in several parts, as detailed in the annotated agenda. The first part, on the agenda items 2 and 3, will feature a number of thematic presentations, which will provide contextual information for subsequent workshop discussions. From day 2, more detailed and interactive discussions will take place in breakout groups, and I will elaborate on this in a minute. The last part, to take place during plenary sessions, will include summaries from facilitators on the progress made in group discussions. And on the final day of the workshop, participants will also be invited to review the key conclusions in the draft workshop report. Now let me also briefly explain the organization of the breakout sessions placed under agenda items 4 and 5. Further information, including the key questions for each group discussion, can also be found in a document titled The Note on Breakout Session Discussion, which was circulated by the Secretariat before the workshop. Participants will be divided in 2 groups, so please also refer to the note to see which group you will be joining for the breakout sessions. Group discussion under agenda item 4 will focus on 2 themes. Theme A on area-based management measures and Theme B on non-spatial measures. On day 2, after a short plenary introduction from the Secretariat, Group 1 will start with Theme A discussion for the first 1 hour and a half and move to Theme B for the next 1 hour and a half. And Group 2 will start with Theme B first and move to Theme 1 on the first day, on day 2. The group discussions will continue on the next 2 days, on day 3 and day 4, and each group will meet to discuss one theme during each day and move to the other theme on the next day. Group discussions on the agenda item 5 will also focus on 2 themes. Theme C on monitoring and research, and Theme D on collaboration and capacity building. On day 6, Group 1 will discuss Theme C and Group 2 will focus on Theme D. And the groups will again change the theme on the next day, on day 7. The group discussions will be moderated by 4 moderators who will be assisted by rapporteurs for summarizing group discussions. The summaries of group discussions will be presented during the plenary session. Further information on how to summarize the inputs from group discussions will also be introduced by the Secretariat before the breakout session. I look forward to working with all of you in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.